Hello everyone, this is Hitanshu Malhotra and welcome to Coding Adda. So the agenda of today's video is to learn about AWS ECS with some practical demo. Okay, so let's quickly jump and go ahead. So AWS ECS is Amazon service to manage, it's a managed service to run Docker containers. So I'm assuming you are aware of the Docker, but if you are not, I'll create a separate video on the Docker. And just for your information, Docker are a tool to ship your softwares, right? So Docker is an open source containerization platform. It basically enables developers to package application, right? So that it can be run on an any environment, right? So this is just basic about the Docker. Let's move ahead and jump to our agenda, ECS. So ECS is basically a service onto which we can run those, containers that we created, right? So there are two type in which we can launch these ECS cluster, ECS cluster instances. So one is using this EC2 launch type, and the other one is Fargate type. So in EC2 launch type, we need to first provision the EC2 instances. On top of that, run we run our containers, right? And in ECS Fargate type, we don't need to create specifically these EC2 instances. These are serverless, and we delegate the responsibility to the AWS to manage these instances. We What we need to take care about is to just create the task definitions and just run on top of that cluster, right? So it's in serverless, we don't need to take care, right? So here if you see, this is a new, a Docker container we created, right? And what we need to do as a part of this ECS Fargate type, we only need to define some task definition where we are just defining like which image needs to be used, Docker image, and the CPU and the RAM. Just that when we create these task definition, and later on we just need to map that to the cluster, and we are good with that, right? So let's quickly jump on to demo. So here in this demo we'll be going with this ECS Fargate type, right? So let's not waste much time and just jump onto demo. So once you log into AWS, and if you search for this ECS, you will find this ECS container service, right? And as I already mentioned, first need to define this task definition, right? So let's click on these and then go and create new. So for this demo, I'm using this readily available Nginx demo Docker image. So I'll be using that. Let me copy that. Okay, let's create nginx underscore demo and same URL that I just copied. As I know, in this container image, port 80 is exposed. So this is the port. I'm good with this port. If I know for my Docker image, if I expose some different port, then I can be change this to 80,000 or something else, right? So that is there. Not talking about this one, as this very basic demo of the ECS. So let's go ahead. And so this is an option like where to deploy. This is the type of deployment. So here, say we are using AWS Fargate, right? So these are operating system you can easily change if you want. CPU we can define. Let's take a very basic, right? This is a role that can be used if you want to, if your from your task you want to use some other AWS services. So you can use, if you don't use, you can't use any other AWS service. So I've already created this role. Maybe at the end I will show you, about this role, or let me show you right away. So if I go quickly, go to IAM, I'll create a separate video on the IAM as well. And so so this is a these are the roles, right? And so if I search for ECS, This is the task execution role. And here if you see what permissions we have provided, one is the CloudWatch full access, so that our ECS can push logs to CloudWatch, right, to this CloudWatch, correct. And the other one is this task execution role policy and the EC2 container service role. This is needed when you are going to use that EC2 deployment type, right. So once you just attach the permission, and this role should be created, and we can just utilize the same role over here, right. So here if you see, these are the roles. So storage should be, I'm using this whatever is the minimum, right. And this is normal. If you want to give some tags, you can give it, right. So let me click on next. Here you're just reviewing the things, and I should be good with this. Let me just create, right. So here you see these task definition examiner is being created, right. It would take another 2 3 minutes, right. So IAM is basically identity and access management, right. So suppose you have an EC2 machine, right, and EC2, from that EC2 machine you want to utilize you want to uh, from that EC2 machine you want to utilize S3 bucket thing, right, or you want to put some data to S3 bucket, or you want to read some data from the S3 bucket. So for that you have to assign some permission to your uh, EC2 instance, so that it can access your S3 bucket, right. So these are the kind of identity management has to be handled from this IAM service, right. So it's in global service. So if you see here, the all other regions are disabled, right, because IAM is in global service, right. But if you talk about this, I'm in a Mumbai region, so that means this task definition would be only available in the Mumbai region, right. So now if you see, these task definition is created, right. So now the next step would be to go and create clusters, right. So let me go and create cluster. So something like ECS, right. And the networking would remain same. Networking, I'm not changing right now the VPC and subnet. I was using the default subnets and using AWS Fargate. And now just go and create, right. So this is very simple step. Just to here we are just creating the cluster, right. So if I go here in this slide, what we did, we create the cluster and we have this Docker task definition. Now what we need to do, we need to just map these task definition to this cluster, right. And there are two ways. One is we can directly execute this task, or what we can do, we can create a service and then associate a task to that, right. So in that matter, let me show you that in the demo. Okay, so this is created, right. So now just go to task, uh, go to the cluster, and now we have two options. Either we can run that task if we would just want to run that standalone task, and whenever that, I mean, that's a standalone task, we don't, when we don't want to scale that thing, right. And but if we want to scale some tasks, right, and we just want, if let's suppose we define the number of tasks as 5 desired tasks, right, and if some of the tasks got failed, then we just want that it should reach to their maximum desired level, then I think the services would be a better option in that case. Let's go and do a demonstration on this services part, right. So let me go here, and if you see, and I'm using the service, right. So these are for the standalone task for the bad job, right, that would eventually terminate after some time, right. So here in the family, we just need to select the task definition that I created, right. So that's the latest, right. So what is now service, correct. So here I'm just defining the number of tasks as 2, right. Okay, so that should be good, right? And the load balancing, we need to have a load balancer in front, right? That would accept a request, right? So this is the load balancer. Okay. So before than that, I just want to create to go to we need to create a security group that I need to assign to the ECS cluster, right? So let me go and create two security groups, right? So these are some of the security groups that are already available. Let me go and create two more. So I'm in the Mumbai region just to be sure. So here ECS demo ALB, right? So this is for the ALB to allow traffic from outside, right? On port 80, correct? That inbound rule HTTP 80 defining anywhere IP4 and HTTP, okay, and anywhere IP6, right? So these are the two, one for the ALB for the application load balancer, and the other one I'm just creating for ECS demo cluster role, right? uh, this is to allow request from application load balancer security, right? So what we do here, we are just going to allow that the particular load balancer security group can only do a request on this one, right? So for all the ports, I'm custom defining here. Here I'm just defining this ECS ALB security group, right? So now what will happen eventually? Only on these ports, we this security group from this machine, I mean from the ALB, the request can be only processed onto this ECS cluster, right? So I'm just creating. Okay, so this is created. Let me go back. Okay, so let me create a new Nginx demo ALB, right? And port is 80. Group name is Nginx demo. Now, same path. I'll check path is this. Let's give 20 seconds. Networking route remains same. It's just that we can use an existing ALB group. That is the what I have created. This ECS. This is for the ALB. This is for the cluster, right? So let me just select this. Correct. Okay. Let me remove. Okay. 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 And in the compute, let's okay, these are the launch type. That is the Fargate type, right? So latest version. Okay. So it should be there. I'm good. I think we are good, right? If you want to give some tags, you can give, right? So let's deploy. Okay. So if you go here, this deployment is happening, right? So if I go here and if I go to load balancer, you will eventually see there is one. You will find there is one load balancer would have to come. Okay. Load balancer can only contain character that are alphanumeric. Okay. Okay, okay, so these are to be done. Mm, okay, new version. Let me go. Okay, so let me quickly do this. Compute is launch type Fargate service. Select Nginx demo, the latest Nginx demo, Nginx demo service. Nginx demo and do this would remain same. Load balancing. Let's use load balancer. Mm, ECS underscore Nginx. Let's put Nginx demo underscore ALB. 80 Nginx underscore demo. Is slash T working. Let's put this one and should be good, right? Let me see if it works now. Okay, really it should. This demo can only contain characters that are alphanumeric. So what pronunciation? Okay, third time. Group name. Okay, okay. This one. So next demo service. There's us two. Let's not do this. Load balancer. Mm, next demo LB. Next demo P. T. And in the compute, let me start this, the latest version, and networking. Let's use this. Should be good. Next demo service, Nginx. Let's go demo. Target group name can only characters. Still load balancing. I think this could be the problem. Let's hope this time it will get created. Okay, so it's created, right? So now this ALB is coming, right? Correct. So it would eventually take 2 minutes, 2 more minutes, right? So let me see this and now go and to change the security group. ECS demo cluster. Change this to ALB so that we can get a request from the front end, right? So this is getting created, and if you go here now, the service is still working, right? So eventually, if you see, once this is completed, then you will eventually see a service here and the task here, right? So now if I go and just go to this DNS name, will not nothing will work, right? Because as of now this binding has not happened, right? And this service is still running. It would take another 1 or 2 minutes, right? Okay, okay. So service are training and the tasks are pending, right? So the service is yet running. Let's give some time. And sorry for that error, right? That error. Okay. So it should be in an active state, right? So it's still not working, correct? Because we are actually, I mean, this is taking a request from the outside world, but the backend is not ready yet, right? So ideally, we should only assign a security group that is allowing the port from the, I mean, the outside port whenever. So see, now something has happened, right? So right now, backend is just running, right? So if you the service is there, right, and the tasks are still, I mean, these are on the running state. So let's just refresh. It would sometime it would take a couple of minutes, right? Because right, so see it's working, right? So here if you see, there are two tasks, right, one and two, right? So that is why this IP address is changing, right? So if you see here, this is 70, right? So if I just refresh again, see this is 50. So it's because it's we have a two different instances running, right? Correct. So let me just do this. If I just go and stop the selected task, right? So eventually my application would not be stopped, right? So what I did is I actually killed a specific task, right? So it's just showing, I mean, it would take a minute, right? So this is stopped, right? So eventually the request would go to same instance, right? This is a 70, right? And in a couple of minutes that the new task would get, so active is one, right? So the one is active only, right? So if I go and refresh, so this is deep provisioning. The one, this is a red mark because this I deleted, right? And this is again in a pending state because this is yet to be provisioned, right? So this is the beauty of this Fargate type, right? You just define the service and the tasks are created whenever some of the tasks get stopped by some of the reason, then it would try to create a new task because we actually define during the deployment, right? Okay, it would eventually go to back to older version, right? So this, if I go and click on this one, okay, account settings, oh, where is that deployment settings, right? Something is happening with this. Okay, this services when we did this. Okay, if I go here, if you see the deployment option here, we define that the minimum task is 100 and the max is 200. Means if we talk about two tasks, that means we are defining that at least one has to be there during a deployment, right? So that is there. I think we should be good. And now it would see, it would eventually, that new task is available, right? So this is happening. So thank you for watching this, and we'll further create a part 2 of this video where we'll go in detail about some other things about this, right? Thank you for watching.